Welcome into present day. Welcome into the end of season 4. We're going to recap a little bit of our favorites, of our not so favorites, and what taking a contract in Washington state would be like for all the travel therapists out there, because there are a lot of jobs in the state.
I love this life with you.
Yeah, I can't believe season 4 is over. It feels like it just came and went. We've actually been out of Washington for a little while now, so it's kind of weird we're hopping back into the end of it. But it was a really great time, and we knew when we wanted to go out to Washington, the Pacific Northwest, we knew it was going to be exciting, and it lived up to that.
Yes, there was so much to explore. We really wanted to check Washington off our bucket list, and I'm glad we did, because it is a very unique, beautiful place to be.
So one of our first things we're going to mention is our favorite thing while in Washington. And we actually had a really hard time figuring out what was our favorite thing, so we're going to cheat a little bit.
It's just all of it. In Washington, especially in the Seattle area, you're within driving distance of 3 major national parks. Mount Rainier, North Cascades, and Olympic National Park. And there's so much to see with all of them. We barely scratched the surface. We really hardly got to see any of it. But that was the major perk of taking this contract, is being able to see so much in such a small space and such little amount of time.
Yeah, before we started travel therapy, we did not really have any whereabouts of the national parks. We weren't national park geeks or anything like that, but once we got to traveling, and especially I think when we went to Glacier in season 1, and then when we went down to Arizona in season 2, and we got to see like a bunch of national parks in Arizona, that really kind of got national parks on our radar because they're just so magnificent.
You gotta see them if you're close.
Yeah, and so our location in Washington was like right in the middle of all these 3 huge national parks, and they were amazing.
Our not so favorite part about this contract, moving into our next point, was just the fact that we couldn't be in Big Betty. So Big Betty is our, what's it called, Class A?
Our Class A motorhome that we renovated. This was before we started doing seasons. We have our renovation videos. This is what we were going to live in for each travel therapy contract. And we did that for a solid year when we first started out. And then these last few contracts, we've hit some snags to where we haven't been able to live in it.
And we have not gotten rid of Big Betty. We've gotten a lot of questions about that. But the last 2 contracts, we just haven't been able to take her with us. Either because of weather and the ground being too hard because of snow and cold.
Well, too cold.
Yeah, too cold. Or because we couldn't find a spot. So over in Washington, they were just packed.
Yeah, every RV park was full. I called numerous RV parks trying to get to where we could drive Big Betty out there and live in a space that we call home, we feel comfortable with, but it just didn't work out. And so our plan B was to get an Airbnb or find something on Furnish Finder, which is pretty popular things that travel therapists or travel nurses use to find housing when they don't own an RV.
Yes. So it gave us some experience in the world of renting out a space, and we've kind of found the things that we don't like about that. Honestly, we had a really good host at our second Airbnb in Washington. We had 2 there. The first one, if you've watched the season, was awful.
Oh, it was
another RV. Since we live in an RV normally, we thought no big deal, but their standard of RV living was like not up to par for our standards. So our second one was way better. However, you have to move all your stuff every time. Your stuff doesn't have a home, so you can't really organize, and it doesn't feel like home because it's not your space. And so now we know we would definitely always take Big Betty with us if we could. And a lot of people ask if it's hard to find spots to park Big Betty, and sometimes it does affect your plans, and you have to decide, are you willing to leave for a contract? The good thing is a contract is only 3 months. So we really wanted to see Washington. We were willing to leave her for that time, but we did learn our preferred way of travel is in the RV. It's so much more comfortable.
Just being closer to a city, so we were really close to Seattle. It's going to be harder to find those RV parks when you're close to a big city like that. Our other contracts were more rural, no issues with finding an RV park. Our friends, Evan and Leah, who are also travel therapists, they came out to Washington with us. You've probably seen them in some of our videos. They usually travel in their RV also, and they had difficulty, and so they weren't able to bring their RV out there. But again, there were some perks that pros that we wanted to go see those national parks. We wanted to experience the Pacific Northwest in the summer, and so we decided to leave Big Betty at home. We still have Big Betty. We still have the RV. We still plan to use her, so stay tuned for that. So getting back to some of our experiences, we wanted to go over like what just blew our minds when we were in Washington. And I think for us, it was each morning getting to wake up, getting to drive to work, getting to drive home, and see the beautiful view of Mount Rainier. Because we lived in the Puyallup Valley, which is like the valley of Mount Rainier. And so every morning, I mean, it was just huge. Ginormous. And every time I would look at it, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing.
The first time we saw it driving into Seattle, we were like our minds were blown because it is huge. It seems like no matter how far away you get, the size does not change at all. So that was a beautiful thing to be driving into every morning. It was a little like different being from the Midwest. We were like, there's a volcano and we're in the valley where it would erupt and chaos would happen. But it's all right.
We survived.
We survived.
Some other unique experiences for us are really experiencing for our first time was getting to go whale watching. We got to take a whale watching boat tour where we saw 16 different whales, orcas, and it was really cool. We got to spend a lot of time with them swimming around and coming up out of the water. We had never experienced anything like that.
No, that was very unique. We don't get to spend a lot of time on the coast being from the middle of the country. So being around the sea life in the wild and not at a park was pretty impressive.
The other thing was Crater Lake. And so we actually took the long journey down into Oregon to go to Crater Lake National Park. And that was just unique because it's a volcano that collapsed. And now there's this super deep lake. I mean, it's like 2,000 feet deep, 5 to 6 miles across. It was just huge, and the water is so blue.
Yeah, I think that's the other really shocking thing from this season was the color of the water. It's just like no other color you've ever seen. Absolutely gorgeous. So those were some of our favorites, some of our least favorites, and we just wanted to touch on what to expect if you're a travel therapist that's wanting to travel to Washington State. There are typically a lot of jobs in this state and a lot of outpatient setting as well. So it's one that's also highly sought after. So even though there are a lot of jobs in this state, there's a lot of people that want to go there. So if you want to go, some things you should expect is higher cost of living. Just for the general area, the Seattle area, it is crazy high. Make sure that it is a part of your contract. So this is pretty standard, but your stipend for your housing and for your food is based off of the area, but just make sure that your travel company is giving you that higher stipend and not cutting it out of your salary because you will definitely need it.
Don't get fooled if you see that the job offer is like, wow, this is a lot of money per week. Just know that that's probably because cost of living is going to take a little bit too. So it might not be as lucrative as like a rural area in the Midwest where the cost of living is so low and that top dollar isn't as high, but there's a good margin. But the pro of being in Washington, and probably the main reason you're going to Washington, is because there's 3 national parks, there's beauty everywhere, and if you're an active person, if you like hiking, it's a good reason to go. There's something to do in
every season.
Yeah.
If you're looking to go to Washington, that's what to expect. Hit us up if you need some ideas about where to stay, because we really did love our Airbnb host and her space. She was super sweet and she rents out to travelers all the time. And also if you just want to know where's a good spot in the city and where's safe.
A lot of you travel therapists and travel nurses that watch our channel have been out to Washington on contracts and assignments, and we'd love to hear what your favorite thing was in the Pacific Northwest area. So make sure to comment in this video so we can see that, we can interact with you and see kind of what was your favorite thing and see what we have in common.
Yeah, we'd love to kind of have a list in the comment section of this video of like must-see places. Might not even be like a huge spot, but if you spent time in this area and you got familiar with it and you would recommend your favorite spots to people who are looking into going to Washington, this is the place to share it.
Well, that kind of brings an end to season 4, which means coming up soon will be season 5, and let me tell you, it's going to be an exciting one.
It's crazy, you guys. Not only do we have the typical big surprise of like where we are going next, but we have like 2 or 3 other major big surprises.
Yeah, life-changing surprises that we weren't necessarily planning, but they
all
all happened at once, and so it's going to make a really fun season.
Yes, so we can't wait for you guys to join us on that. We're really excited to get it started. But in between the seasons, we are hoping to take some time to make some educational videos. We've always got people asking us questions about travel therapy, and we really want to help you guys get into it and feel confident about doing it because we've loved our experience.
Yeah, so we hope some of those educational videos that you guys have been talking to us and wanting more of will be beneficial to you, will provide you the confidence to hop into travel therapy, because truthfully it has given us a lot of freedom in life and a lot of adventure in life, as you see on our channel, and we like to share that with you guys. So keep an eye out for some of that content.
Yes, so coming your way is travel therapy educational videos and season 5. Please join us. And is that it for season 4?
That is it for season 4. So as always, until next time, see ya.